Welcome back to Baltimore, where the weather, in a word, is unbelievable, especially for November. Temperature 61 now. They say it may reach 65 before this day is over. There is head coach Dennis Allen of the Oakland Raiders. His Raiders have won the toss, and they will receive. On the other side of the field, John Harbaugh, now in his 5th season here in Baltimore, the only coach in NFL history to have won a playoff game in each of his first 4 years at the helm. The crowd is pumped, and the stadium is full as usual. And it's a tall order, to say the very least, for these Oakland Raiders today.
Oh, boy. I mean, as banged up as they are offensively and in this environment, you've got to wonder what turn of events has to happen for the Raiders to hang in there with this Baltimore team. I think the only thing the Raiders can hope for is that the Ravens might be looking down the road with their games with Pittsburgh looming, that maybe their eye isn't quite on the ball.
Boy, Francis is deep, and it will roll into the end zone, and it will be down there for the touchback. Well, the Raiders fell behind early against the Bucs last week. Carson Palmer had to throw it. Throw it he did. 61 times, 414 yards, and 4 touchdowns in a 42-32 loss, which you see his numbers on the season. 13 TDs and 8 interceptions so far, completing about 61% of his throws. And Dennis Allen told us yesterday, in order for his team to be successful today, he needs something to happen early. He would like to have something big happen early on. This is Marcel Reese. And Reese with about a 5-yard pickup. Up front, right tackle Willie Smith has taken some heat. Thought he might not be in the lineup today, but the second-year tackle is there. And Carson Palmer with plenty of receiving talent, but his 2 best running backs out of action, fullback Marcel Reese starting at running back today.
And keep in mind that Marcel Reese is a former wide receiver in college. Only had 1 carry coming into today's game. He had a few the last couple of years, but he's not the primary ball carrier.
He now has twice as many as he did coming in, but he is met just as he crossed the line of scrimmage by McClellan and McLean. Defensively for the Ravens, Haloti Ngata banged up but starts, and on the other side, Arthur Jones starts for Pernell McPhee. At linebacker, Terrell Suggs continues to work his way back to game shape. His 3rd game back, his first home game since the Achilles surgery in May. And in the secondary, solid safeties in Reed and Pollard, a young Jimmy Smith at one corner, and Kerry Williams having an outstanding season at the other. 3rd and 3. Palmer to throw for the first time today. Down the sideline here and caught. Number 86, David Osbury with the catch, and that'll be a first down. And a throw right on the money from Carson Palmer.
Oh, really? I mean, a beautiful touch pass by Carson Palmer, right over Osbury's shoulders, just running a wheel route right up the sideline. And he gets past Bernard Pollard, and he barely kept both feet in bounds, making that catch. But in bounds they were.
2 set of downs for the Raiders at their own 47. Palmer throwing the other way. This is Darius Hayward-Bay to about the 45-yard line. Darius Hayward-Bay attended the McDonough School in Owings Mills, Maryland, about 20 miles from the stadium here, and attended University of Maryland.
He's a Silver Spring native, and kind of nice to return back. The bad news for the Raiders is that this is another game in the Eastern time zone, and it is very difficult for the Raiders to achieve success in the Eastern time zone. It's been a struggle for them over the years, and they've got 5 such trips here in 2012. This is a 10 o'clock in the morning start in California.
Palmer, deep drop on 2nd and 2, and he's going to go deep. Down the middle of the field, it is incomplete at the goal line. Intended for Denarius Moore, covered well by Kerry Williams.
Yeah, covered very well by Kerry Williams. He knew he had some safety help back to the inside, but that was an outstanding piece of work. And Kerry Williams a little fired up. That's, you want to test me early? Okay, bring it on again. I was ready.
3rd and 2. to Reese for the first down, and he may be short.
Well, he met Haloti Nada. He met one of the guys in there. Terrence Cody, rather. I think 62 was in on it as well. Nada's still standing on the sideline.
Well, not close enough for a measurement. So this will be fourth down.
There's Cody, 62. See him floating down the line of scrimmage, and then he lowers the shoulder and gets in there on it.
And I like the way the Raiders are going after it on fourth down, Dan.
Well, what do they have to lose?
Palmer trips and goes down and loses yardage.
Some dignity might be the only thing they had to lose. Wow, on a fourth down play, falling flat on your back.
Let's see if he gets stepped on.
Right there, his right guard, Mike Brazel, steps right on his foot.
Ball goes over to the Ravens. As the Ravens take possession for the first time today, quarterback Joe Flacco, offensive coordinator Cam Cameron says he loves the way number 5 runs the Ravens no-huddle offense, and you will see some of it today. Ray Rice across midfield into Oakland territory to about the 47-yard line. And a little scrum amounts to nothing at about the 50-yard line. Michael Orr involved. And the Ravens will come right to the line again. Pick up a 5. It'll be 2nd and 5. Rice again. About 2 yards to the 45. On the line, Baltimore has had its bumps and bruises. Some question marks earlier in the week about right guard Marshall Yanda, but he's in there today. And can the Raiders contain wide receiver Torrey Smith? Speed to burn, 29 catches, 481 yards, and 5 touchdowns for number 82.
I think Ray Rice was a little upset after that last run. He got his feet tangled up. He was on his way to at least, I think, a 10-yard gain.
Flacco from the shotgun on 3rd and 3. Looks to the near side, and the catch is made by number 81, Anquan Bolden. He's the possession guy, and that's the first down.
Well, he's working against Michael Huff, number 24, who's a very good safety, but because of injuries, has now making his 7th consecutive start out at the left corner position. And again, Bolden, a good physical receiver, and against a very physical guy in Huff, you could see the contact, but against a nice throw like Flacco for Flacco, that's tough to defend.
Flacco throwing and patted down by Huff that time. Intended for Bolden. It'll be 2nd and 10.
These are two tough guys going at it here, Michael Huff and Anquan Bolden. Bolden as strong as any receiver in the game, and that's just outstanding defensive work by Michael Huff, timing the left hand in there on the football perfectly.
Rice thrown back behind Flacco, and he gets the handoff, and he gets wrapped up by Desmond Bryant. Oakland's front 4 minus the veteran Richard Seymour today. It is Bryant in his 4th year out of Harvard starting for him. Linebackers, Philip Wheeler, Rolando McClain, and Oakland's 4th-round draft pick, Miles Burris out of San Diego State. And in the secondary, the Raiders getting their starting cornerback, Ron Bartell, back in the lineup. He suffered a broken scapula in the opening game of the season. 3rd and 13. Flacco with plenty of time, and the crossing pattern is complete. Dennis Pitta. But that will be short of a first down, and that'll bring the field goal unit on. Philip Wheeler making the stop.
Well, no surprise that the Raider defense appears to be playing with some energy, and why wouldn't they after getting scorched last week? When you give up 251 yards to a running back, and that's what Doug Martin of Tampa Bay did to them last week, you'd expect them to come out this week and play at a pretty high energy level.
Justin Tucker, along of 56 in his 15 field goals this season. And this one is right on the money. Tucker and the Ravens 3-0. Welcome back to Baltimore. The Ravens went just 22 yards in 7 plays, salvaged 3 points on a 48-yard field goal by Justin Tucker. 3-0 lead. Coy Francis deep for the kick. And he will run this one out 5 yards deep in the end zone, right up the middle. And out across the 20 to about the 24-yard line. Brendan Ayanbadejo making the stop. To get the latest news, analysis, and predictions from Pat Kerwin, Pete Prisco, and other CBS Sports experts, watch Pro Football 360 live weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern or on demand at cbssports.com/profootball360. Well, Haloti Ngata was announced as a starter in this game, but has not yet seen action. And John Harbaugh kind of indicated he wouldn't play much if he did at all today.
Well, he's got knee and shoulder problems. Oh, I think Suggs batted that one away. You don't have to knock a quarterback down to make your presence felt. And Terrell Suggs playing to the crowd a little bit, and they respond.
How unlike number 55.
Yeah, really. He ends up getting cut, but before he went down, he elevated and got the football. Just waiting to see that explosiveness in that first step. And Terrell Suggs, such a powerful player, when he would hit a guy, that guy would rock backwards. He's still working his way back to that level from that Achilles.
Play fake to Reese. Palmer over the middle. And that's Reese coming out of the backfield making the catch. He has shown this season he can do that. The stop made by Jameel McClain, but Reese came into this game with 26 receptions for 272 yards and a touchdown.
And some of those, Greg, acrobatic. Marcel Reese is as we mentioned earlier, a former wide receiver in college, but he's got great hands, good feel out in space. He's an accomplished receiver, but he's not the guy I think you want to have to rely on as your starting tailback. Baltimore showing pressure right up the middle.
Here they come. Palmer under pressure. Over the middle, that's complete, but short of a first down to the tight end, Brandon Myers, and Bernard Pollard was there with the hit.
Well, Bernard Pollard, a smart safety. He knows that when that pressure is coming up in the middle, you can squat on every route. You know it's got to come out in a hurry, and Carson Palmer gets rid of it in a hurry, pays the price. He ends up with the completion, but Pollard's coverage so tight, Myers never had a chance to turn his shoulders upfield.
The speedy Jacoby Jones back for the kick upcoming from one of the best ever, Shane Leckler.
He might be the best punter ever. I know Ray Guy fans just gulped.
Jones cutting it back and spinning across the 20 to about the 21 or 22-yard line. 7:11 to play in the first quarter. Joe Flacco and the Ravens. They got penalty markers on the field. Our referee today is Ron Winter.
And we've got an injured player back at the 12 or 13-yard line. Oh, that's
Travis Gethel, a linebacker.
One of the special teams players for the
After
Raiders.
the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 51 of the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Aaron Curry, a guilty party on the penalty. We'll take our time out and be right back. Victims of disasters like Superstorm Sandy, text Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation to the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. CBS cares. That's Travis Gethel, and able to walk off the field and is trying to walk it off on the sideline. Meanwhile, Flacco and company from their own 32. A screen to the far side of the field. And not able to get away is Vontae Leach. He's wrapped up and leading the charge, Matt Shaughnessy.
A screenplay can be so good looking when it fools the defense, and it can be so dead in its tracks when the defense smells it out ahead of time, and that's exactly what Shaughnessy did there. And you say to yourself, well, why did the quarterback even throw the ball? Well, you know, sometimes a guy will get lucky and break a tackle. You never know, but that play was DOA.
Loss of 3 on the play, 2nd and 13. Rice. Out across the 35. To about the 37-yard line where Lamar Houston makes contact and brings him down.
Even though he's not in on the tackle, Tommy Kelly, number 93, there on the left side of your screen, he got penetration, and he forced Ray Rice, I think, to take away some of his options. And, that ended up being a run for about 3 yards, but give Tommy Kelly credit. He took away the back side, and Ray Rice committed to the front side, had no other place to go.
Good chance for the Oakland defense to get off the field here on 3rd and 9. And the blitz. Flacco right on the money. And out across to the 45-yard line is Dennis Pitta for a first down.
Boy, and Joe gets hit hard, but this safety blitz came from about 15 yards deep. Mike Mitchell, look at him coming again, and Tyvon Branch again coming, but they got such a late start. They both get there way too late. If you're going to run that blitz, you got to start closer to the line.
This is Rice, and Rice going to lose yardage on the play.
Again, penetration from the Raiders' defensive line against this offensive line of the Ravens.
Desmond Bryant and Lamar Houston. Dan, does it strike you there's a trend in the NFL to small running backs? We've got Ray Rice here, Maurice Jones-Drew, and how about the little guy down in Tampa that we saw on the pregame show
Doug
today?
Martin, sure. And, hey, Barry Sanders wasn't a tall running back, and neither was Emmitt Smith. Marshall Faulk, not exactly a tall guy.
Rice straight ahead.
Well, I can tell you right now that this is a Raiders defense. I mentioned it last time. They're playing out of a little embarrassment over what happened to them last week, and they're bringing it right now. This is a very physical contest so far on the line of scrimmage, and the Raiders aren't giving ground very easily.
Ray Rice up over the 5,000-yard mark for his career.
And that 4.6 yard per carry average, that's a nice number. That's a very nice number.
And another 3rd and 9 for Flacco. With time. Throwing and wide open. He's got his man, Ed Dixon. Dixon inside the 5. It'll be 1st and goal.
And he got the one-on-one matchup with Philip Wheeler, the linebacker. And the minute Flacco spotted that, he knew he had something. Because Ed Dixon can really run. And he's got the single matchup on number 52, Wheeler, and Wheeler just falls way behind. And that was a perfectly thrown pass by Joe Flacco. Right down the seam to Dixon.
On 1st and goal, it'll be Rice trying the left side toward the end zone. And no touchdown call yet. He's just short of the goal line.
Well, he ended up in the end zone, Greg, but I think he bounced in there. He ended up in the end zone with the football across the plane, but the line judge there ruling that he hit the ground prior to the end zone. And here we go with a little hurry up.
On 2nd and goal, Flacco keeps it himself for the touchdown.
Well, all set up with that beautiful seam pattern to Ed Dixon and a perfect throw by Joe Flacco. And right now, this is the Raiders' worst nightmare on the road at M&T Bank Stadium on the verge of going down 10-0. Dennis Allen, this is not the way you wanted this baby to get underway.
Tucker's extra point attempt is good, nor is it the big start that Dennis Allen was looking for from his team. Joe Flacco, his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season, and the Ravens are on top, 10-0. Coming up on 3 minutes to play here in the 1st quarter, you see the Ravens went 63 yards in 8 plays for the touchdown. Flacco and company on top, 10-0. Coy Francis at the goal line. And will not run this one out of the end zone. So the Raiders will come out to their own 20-yard line and hope to get something started against the Ravens after this. We told you at the top of the show that the Raiders fell behind Tampa early last week and had to really commit to the pass. You wonder how much Greg Knapp will go before he does that exclusively, Dan. This is Marcel Reese. Nowhere to go. Courtney Upshaw with the stop, and we have a penalty marker on the field.
Holding. Offense number 61. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Stefan Wisniewski, the center, guilty of the hold.
I just don't think Knapp can abandon the running game, not in the first quarter, even though they're down 10-0. Now, this doesn't help now that we're going back to a 1st and 20. But he has no choice. He cannot sit back and just expect Carson Palmer to throw it every single snap from here on out.
Jeremy Stewart making his first appearance of the day in the backfield. He gets the handoff, tries to turn the corner, and is out across the 15 to about the 16, 17-yard line.
Well, we mentioned earlier about the fact that Ray Lewis was here and fired up the home team. He showed up at their training complex Friday before practice. He says his tricep surgery went extremely well, that he's on track, and he certainly plans on coming back either late in the season or in time for the playoffs, of which the Ravens will almost certainly be a part of it, courtesy of their 6-2 start.
Stewart still in the backfield. Palmer throwing far side of the field. New screen set up for Jerron Kreiner, and Kreiner breaking tackles out to about the 28-yard line.
Well, nice little, this is just a wide receiver screen. He comes back, sets up enough time for his blockers to get out in front of him, and a couple missed tackles along the way. Donnell Ellerby had a shot at Kreiner and couldn't bring him down. Missed tackles, something that have been bothering the Ravens. Part of their defensive plan that they'd like to tighten up.
So from a 1st and 20, Palmer and company looking at a 3rd and 1. Palmer throwing, and that is complete out to the 40-yard line to Rod Streeter. Let's get our first update of the day. To New York, JB and Dan Marino.
Cam Newton and Mike Tolbert sets up this play, Dan.
All right, Cam Newton, little play-action pass, and then Greg Olsen just slips out to the left, wide open, goes in for a 4-yard touchdown. Carolina up 7-0. Hey, did I hear Dan Deardorff play tight end either in Pee Wee or Midget League? Or
I hope so. Yeah,
I'm sure he did. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deardorff.
Is that right?
Yeah. Great hands. Unbelievable. Acrobatic. That's the word I heard more often than anything else.
Ballet.
Circus.
End around. Here comes Darius Hayward Bay. Nowhere to go. And down at about the 35-yard line. Courtney Upshaw, the rookie out of Alabama, making the stop.
Courtney Upshaw is really starting to come on. I think everybody knows the story. Showed up overweight, failed the conditioning test. But now that he's getting some snaps, he's worked his way into shape, played very well last week, did a good job setting the edge, and he's a guy that his asserting himself on the field could be a big plus for this Ravens team. They need some young guys like that to step up.
Tywan Jones in the backfield for the first time, and the screen is to Jones. Across the 40, out to about the 42-yard line. And Tywan Jones can run.
Tywan Jones is extremely fast, very quick, and if he gets one-on-one, that guy in front of him has got a handful.
With that, we wind down the final seconds of the first quarter. It was all Baltimore. 10-0 Ravens. We're coming back after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 47. Head coach Dennis Allen saw his Raiders go without scoring in the first quarter for the first time all season long. It's funny, we're talking to them, asking him how does he get his team up to come in here and play against the Ravens. He said, told him the old Wally Pip Lou Gehrig story.
Yeah, I'm sure that really resonated with him.
A bunch of those younger guys on the team said, who? 3rd and 7. To start the second quarter. Palmer running out of time, throws complete, but going nowhere is Reese with the catch out to about the 45-yard line.
Bernard Pollard again with a good tackle.
And a penalty marker on the ground.
Holding. Offense number 65. That penalty decline. Makes it 4th down.
You know, we talked with Dennis Allen about this whole process of changing the culture and the feeling and the attitude of the Oakland Raiders. And part of their problem over the years has been penalties. Not so much this year. That's begun to change, but they're shooting themselves in the foot early here today.
Early in this game, but you're right. Over the course of the season, it has been a marked improvement in the self-destructive type of, especially the pre-snap penalty.
Jacoby Jones back inside his own 10-yard line. To the kick from Shane Leckler. Barely got it away. It will bounce and take an Oakland Raiders roll down inside the 5-yard line to about the 2 and down there by Mike Mitchell. Tonight, there are more than 3 million jobs open in America today. How's that possible? 60 Minutes finds out where some of the very best of them are tonight. Only CBS. 53-yard punt by Shane Leckler.
Yeah, there's some pressure coming right up the middle from the Ravens right there. And, you know, Leckler did a nice job. That was a full-blown grade A Academy Award flop by Leckler. That Raven went sliding right by him. He said, well, maybe I'll just sit down on top of him and see if I can draw a play.
Bernard Pierce starts this series in the backfield for the Ravens. And the first back through is Vontae Leach, and he may have gotten a yard out to the 4.
I think I've been counting. That's his 21st career carry for Vontae Leach. A guy who's earned every one of those by being the best blocking fullback of his era here in the National Football League. He has had a lot of terms applied to him, road grader, you name it, and they're all true. He delivers a thud when he goes for his running.
Comes off his second Pro Bowl. You figure he should have had many more than that. Quick pass out to the near side. That's complete to Bolden, and Bolden chased out of bounds. And once again, another update from New York, JB and Dan.
Peyton Manning tying Dan Marino.
JB. Peyton Manning 10 yards to Brandon Stokely, tying Dan Marino. 420 touchdown passes, second all time.
Oh, gosh. Hey, Dan, do it up in Greg. He said he was going to talk in the third person, and he did. Back to Greg Gumbel and Dan Deerdorf.
You could tell that just hurt for him to say that. I could feel the pain.
I think you better get used to it. Peyton has no signs of quitting. First down for the Ravens. Flacco being chased, throws, and that's complete. But spinning at the 10-yard line and losing yardage on the play is Bolden.
Well, Matt Shaughnessy is going to come right on in the backside. You know, you count on that defensive lineman to chase the play down on the line of scrimmage, not necessarily to go upfield after the quarterback. Give Shaughnessy a lot of credit for that. And then he smartly just pushed him over, didn't deliver a real blow.
Loss of 1, 2nd and 11.
Keep in mind the Raiders are playing on that defensive line without their best defensive line. Richard Seymour didn't make the trip because of a hamstring.
Bernard Pierce pops it to the outside. And we have a marker down back at the 9-yard line. And this is going to be against the Ravens, and he'll bring it back.
Holding. Offense number 72. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat, second down.
It's the rookie right tackle, Kelechi Osemele.
Well, just when it looked like the Ravens had dug themselves out of a hole, now they go right back into huddling in the end zone. John Harbaugh thinking, wow, I thought we got out of there. It could be frustrating. Assembly, though, I don't think they're going to bench him. This kid has a bright future. I love the way he plays.
Flacco from his own end zone, far side of the field, and picked off over there by Michael Huff.
Well, that was Michael Huff and Jacoby Jones, I believe the wide receiver, going head-to-head right there, and that ball bounced off one of them. Let's see which one it hits. Looks like it went through, at first it went through Huff's hands, and then it might have hit Jones as well.
Boy, we have seen Michael Huff doing some hard fighting for his share of the football so far today.
Yeah, it bounced off Huff's chest, and look at that awareness, staying active on the sideline and tracking the football. But did you notice how Michael Huff, his eyes never left the football? He was on that thing the whole way.
On first down, just inside the 20-yard line. Palmer running out of time and goes down.
Bernard Pollard, what a first half this guy's having. And he's been described as a perfect fit here for this Ravens defense, and I don't think there's any question about that. Bernard Pollard can blitz. He's a good open field tackler, and he's got attitude.
Ray Lewis, best cheerleader the team in purple has on the field.
They might have looked at that play and said, I couldn't have done better myself.
Tyron Jones in the lineup, 2nd and 17. Palmer throwing over the middle inside the 10 to the 5 is Myers, the tight end. And it'll be 1st and goal.
Well, he found that soft spot right behind the linebackers and in front of the safeties. That's a narrow window, and Ed Reed gets up looking a little bit like that hurt. But you can see against this zone, it's Ed Reed's play to come up and make. And I think we all know that Ed's got a bad shoulder, got a torn labrum in there, and that hurt Ed Reed. He's wincing.
Palmer, 9 out of 11 for 90 yards. And penalty markers fly. The snap doesn't count. That means it'll be against the offense.
False start. Offense number 65.
Wow.
5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Listen, this is Groundhog Day for Mike Brazel. He's getting, his third call out so far.
So they'll repeat the first down, this time from 10 yards out.
53! Right 80!
Play fake. Palmer with time, throwing, and that's complete and out of bounds short of the 5-yard line is Reese. Now we ask the Raiders time and time again, how do you replace the speed that you lose with McFadden and Dixon? And they say Reese is pretty quick for a big guy.
Yeah, he is pretty quick, but he doesn't have this new zone blocking scheme that the Raiders have put in. It really requires a back that's got that one-cut explosiveness, and that's really what Darren McFadden brings to the table. His absence is, in reality, it's irreplaceable for the Raiders.
2nd and goal from the 7. Palmer throwing inside the 5 to about the 3 is Darius Hayward-Bay, and Kerry Williams right there to make the hit. So now 3rd and goal. You wonder, does Carson Palmer continue to throw it, or do they try the ground game again? Which has not been a ringing success so far.
No, it hasn't, so you know that's got to change the thinking for Greg Knapp, the offensive coordinator.
He'll throw it. Pulling it down, throwing it overthrew a wide open receiver, and we have a penalty in the end zone. Intended for Brandon Myers.
Well, Brandon Myers was so open, and I think they're going to say offensive interference.
Pass interference. Offense number 83. That penalty's declined. It's a 4th down.
Well, that's how Myers gets this open. There he is, number 83, right in the middle. Well, I don't see how you could call that offensive interference. Doesn't make any difference in an incomplete pass anyway. But that was hardly a shove off. The way contact in the end zone is tolerated, especially with a tight end.
I'm not sure I'd even call that contact.
No, it was minimal.
Sebastian Janikowski, 47 straight field goals from 40 yards or less, 22 yards, no problem for Seabass. 10:05 to play in the first half. Raiders on the board for the first time. It's 10-3 Baltimore. That's a look at Michael Huff. It was his interception that gave the Raiders field position. They didn't convert it to a touchdown, but they did get 3 points out of it at 10-3 with 10:02 to play in the first half. Jacoby Jones deep. And he will not return. return this one right off the crossbar. So it'll be first down from the 20-yard line for Baltimore when Flacco takes his next snap. A look at part of downtown Baltimore on a day that even I can't complain about, Dan. There's Haloti Ngata on the exercise bike playing very sparingly here today. First down from the 20. This is Rice trying to turn the corner and is out of bounds at about the 23-yard line.
One of the things the Ravens have done here to try to kickstart this running game, Ja Reed, number 76, has gone in at left guard for Bobby Williams. Williams nursing a bad ankle, but this Ravens running game has not gotten loose. 10 running plays for a grand total of 17 yards. That's not getting it done.
Flacco going to go deep. Got his man. Complete to the 30-yard line. Jacoby Jones.
Well, first of all, it starts with a great blitz pickup by Ray Rice. And then no safety help to the inside. I don't know if Michael Huff was expecting any, but once Joe Flacco saw that one-on-one matchup, he knew a guy with Jacoby Jones' speed is going to win.
End around. Jacoby Jones to about the 24, maybe the 23-yard line.
And that's where Tyvon Branch comes up and lowers the boom, the proverbial boom. Branch, their leading tackler, and he's led this team in tackles for the last couple of years. And you know Cam Cameron, the offensive coordinator of the Ravens, boy, you love dialing up a deep pass like that and getting the exact coverage you know make it work.
Alaska!
Second and 4 from the 24. Flacco going for it all. Incomplete in the end zone. And once again, Michael Huff right in the middle of everything.
Yeah, this time Torrey Smith, the intended receiver, and Huff looks like he's a little hurt. Michael Huff not able to get out of the end zone. But again, look at his ball awareness. Michael Huff plays the football the whole way. And he's a little hobbled as he heads over to the Raiders sideline.
So he's off to the side and I believe replaced by Phillip Adams in the secondary.
And once again that time, Greg, the Raiders came with a lot of pressure and weren't able to impact the play. And that puts these guys on an island out there in the secondary.
There is Adams, the third-year cornerback out of South Carolina State, as Flacco looks at 3rd and 4.
Keep in mind, they just cut one of their starting corners, Pat Williams.
Quick pass, complete, inside the 15, inside the 10, to the 5, and Dixon, it'll be 1st and goal.
Well, in the National Football League, boy, you break that first tackle, as talented as these guys are, you're just asking for a big play. And that's what Ed Dixon, just right there on a little crossing pattern. But once he breaks, he breaks a couple tackles, away he goes. The simplest pattern for a tight end to run the little crossing pattern. It's hit right in stride.
They fake over the middle, touchdown. Dennis Pitta. Pitta's 3rd touchdown catch of the season. And a pretty good answer by the Baltimore Ravens.
That was a good-looking drive. Predominantly through the air. That was a Joe Flacco drive, spreading the football around, letting everybody get involved. Good play action fake, no pressure at all. And Matt Giordano, the safety of 5'11", no chance going up for a leaping 6'4". Dennis Pitta.
Justin Tucker's extra point is good. Now we have 7:49 to play in the first half. Flacco has run for one. He's thrown for one. The Ravens on top of the Raiders at 17-3. 5-yard touchdown pass to Dennis Pitta caps a 6-play, 80-yard drive for the Ravens. And it's a 17-3 Baltimore lead. Coy Francis deep for Oakland. And will not get a chance to return this one. This is in the nether reaches of the end zone, and Oakland will start From their own 20-yard line, in honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the NFL's Salute to Service games, the league will donate $100 to each of its non-profit partners, the Pat Tillman Foundation, USO, and Wounded Warrior Project. To join the salute and learn more, visit NFL.com/salute. A good idea.
A very good idea. A lot of veterans in attendance here today. A ceremony before the start of the game. The crowd showing their appreciation, deservedly so.
And right now, Carson Palmer with 5 wide receivers. Palmer throwing. Looked like it was tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Indeed it was. D'Angelo Tyson, number 93, gets up there and gets a hand on the football.
The rookie, 7th round draft pick out of Georgia.
He was about 3 yards off the line of scrimmage when he got up and blocked that.
Going the other way, that pass is complete to Denarius Moore.
Well, the Oakland offense so far today is the running game isn't going much of anywhere. That's hardly a big surprise given the injuries they had, which means there's a lot of pressure on the passing game. Try to get Hayward Bay on an end around doesn't work. And then a wide open guy in the end zone he overthrows, although it wouldn't have mattered. He was called for offensive interference prior to that overthrow.
Oakland with just 10 rushing yards on the day and 3 first downs. Looking for one here on 3rd and 3. The pass is complete to Marcel Reese. And that'll be a first down at about the 33, maybe the 34.
And out of a spread formation with no running back in the backfield, that was actually a pretty easy conversion for Carson Palmer and Marcel Reese. He was very open. Up to this point, the Ravens have been doing an outstanding job of sitting on all the short routes that the Raiders are trying to run.
Palmer, quick pick, around Triner. And Triner out of bounds. And once again, to New York, JB and Dan Marino.
Tony Gonzalez with the new record.
Yes, Matt Ryan, 2 yards of Tony Gonzalez, his 100th touchdown pass, the first tight end to reach that number. 17-14 Atlanta.
Hey, Greg Gumbel, even if Dan Dierdorf didn't play tight end, we're adding yeast to the story anyway. Greg Gumbel, Dan Dierdorf.
Does it matter that I wanted to? I desperately wanted to.
We have penalty markers down as Marcel Reese takes it to the 50-yard line, and this will back the Raiders up.
Holding. Offense number 65.
Whoa.
10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
You say his name. I don't want to say it anymore.
I think we all know it. Mike Brazel not having his best afternoon.
Well, that's 4 accepted penalties on the Raiders. Keep in mind the one offensive pass interference was declined because it was an incomplete pass. So 4 accepted penalties already, and Mr. Brazel is the proud owner of all of them.
Palmer has tipped in the air and intercepted by Kruger. Paul Kruger, his first interception of the season. Maybe this is what happens, Dan, when you're committing. You have to throw the ball because the Raiders just haven't been able to run it.
Well, you played the tip drill because it normally gets tipped to someone else. In this case, Kruger tipped it to himself. He's reading it all the way. He just stops his pass rush. He just floats there, waits for Palmer to throw it, times it, and bats it to himself. That was really a piece of smart football by Paul Kruger. He pulled up in rushing the passer. He stopped about 4 yards away from Carson Palmer and then just tried to time his leap, and obviously he timed it perfectly.
On first down, Flacco. Flips it to Rice. Penalty marker is thrown into the backfield. And this will be a hold on the Ravens.
Illegal use of hands. Hands to the face. number 76, offense.
Dan, as an
10-yard
offensive
penalty.
lineman,
Repeat first down.
as an offensive lineman, what do you do for a guy jumping up and batting passes down in front of you?
Well, if he's right in front of you, you let him have it. You punch him right in the midsection. You cut him. You do whatever you can to get those hands down. Now, in that situation, Kruger was out in space. He was out to the side. There wasn't an offensive lineman in front of him, and so he had a lot of freedom to time that jump. But no, when a guy was right in front of you, you made him pay the price for trying to go up and bat a pass. You really made him pay a price.
First and 20. Quick pass this side and in and out of the hands of Camden Doss.
That ball looked like it was kind of descending on its way out to Tandon Doss. It didn't have a lot on it. Kind of like that soft little throw sometimes from a pitcher to the first baseman that you see kind of bounces off his glove. Shadows kind of creeping onto the field now. Some of these passes are going to start in the sun and end up in the shade.
Second and 20 now. Rice to the 37. There is plenty of sunshine and shade for the players on the field to deal with here this afternoon on this brilliantly bright day in November.
Well, November the 11th, and to think that it's nearly 70 degrees here in Baltimore today. Soft breeze, bright sunshine. It just couldn't be better. And this team, of course, and these fans, boy, did they get fired up when they saw Ray Lewis down on the field during pregame warming.
Ravens' only home game of the month. Flacco over the middle. Penalty marker down as Dennis Pitta dove for the ball.
Well, and obviously loses his helmet in the process.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness hit to the head of a defenseless receiver. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Well, referee Ron Winter didn't identify who it was, but there it comes in right there at the end. All right, coming in here from the right. That looks like Philip Wheeler, the linebacker. And even though it wasn't a helmet, it was his forearm, and that still counts. It was to the head of Dennis Pitta. It doesn't have to be helmet to helmet. You can strike him with your shoulder pad, a forearm, but if you strike that defenseless receiver in the head, it draws a personal foul.
This is Rice. And dragged down from behind, Miles Burris doing a terrific job of cutting yardage out of that play.
Well, Ray Rice had Michael Orr out in front of him, and it looked like I'm not telling Ray Rice how to run, but you got to give a guy a chance to set up the block. As we saw Dennis Pitta head down the steps towards the Ravens locker room, but you got to give your offensive lineman, you got to give him an opportunity. And this time Ray Rice almost passes Michael Orr, and in fact they get crossed up and tangle their legs together. A little more coordination between the two would have yielded more success.
Rice on second and 7 up the middle, close to the 15. As we come up on 4 minutes to play here in the first half.
And again, you just look like there's a little frustration in the running game. You see right there, I think Ray Rice was talking it over with Matt Burke, the center. This is a prideful football team, and they know the importance of getting their running game going, especially in this division as we move into November and December.
You saw how well Baltimore has performed so far in the red zone. 2 for 2 touchdowns. They came in ranked 6th in the league. This one down the sideline, leaping and incomplete in the end zone for Torrey Smith.
Well, Ron Bartell, who just got activated for this game today. This is his first playing of the 2012 season since he got hurt in the opener. Broke a shoulder blade in the opening game, and he has been out since he's been rehabbing, and that's right in the middle of it. Good play getting up and breaking it up.
4th and 4. Tucker, good from 48 earlier. This one from 34. And looked for a second like he might have pulled it, but he sneaks it just inside the left upright. Another 3 for the Ravens, 20-3, Baltimore. Back in Baltimore, the Ravens make good on an interception, turn it into points on the board. 20-3 Baltimore with 3:16 to play in the first half, and the Oakland Raiders looking to make something happen before this game really gets out of control. Coy Francis deep. And Justin Tucker is not giving them a chance to get anything going on the return. Tomorrow, 2 broke girls find the sweetest thing possible in a candy store on a new episode. That's tomorrow only. CBS.
Well, it's on Carson Palmer's shoulders now. Down by 17 points, 3 minutes left in the second quarter. Not that it wasn't on his shoulders to begin with. Again, a reminder, if you weren't with us, Darren McFadden and Goodson, their top 2 running backs, not even here. They're back in California, so the running game, not much of a factor for the Raiders. They've got a grand total of 10 rushing yards, down by 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Number 3, what can you do for us now?
Marcel Reese relocates to behind Palmer. Screen for Reese. Left side. Walker's leaping in the air and comes down at about the 28-yard line.
He really tries to go right over the top of Kerry Williams. Look at what Williams does a great job of squaring up and not going too low. That's a heck of a job by Kerry Williams.
I'll bet you 45 didn't expect his man to stand up.
No, normally you're hoping that they're going for the shoestrings down there. The plan was not to get impaled on Kerry Williams' helmet.
2nd and 1. Palmer batted at the line of scrimmage.
I think Suggs might have got that one. A bow, please. Yeah, here we got a little bit of a corner blitz, but then again, floating around in the middle, again realizing he wasn't going to get pressure, getting too close to Carson Palmer. Terrell Suggs just played smart football, elevated, knocked it down.
3rd and 1. Reese looking for the first down, has it across the 30 and out close to the 35-yard line. I can't think of anything more frustrating for a quarterback than to have a wide receiver in your sights and have the ball on its way only to be tipped or knocked down by a defensive lineman or a linebacker. And
it's been happening since this game got going, where defensive linemen have batted balls, but it's becoming an art form now. We're seeing more of it than I can ever remember.
Pass is complete to the far side of the field. Derek Hagan with the catch, and looks like he will be just short of a first down as we get the 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning hits with 1:53 to play in the first half. Carson Palmer looking to make something happen before the break. Hey, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and the coach have all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Oakland Raiders have been able to get something on the board in the last 2 minutes of the first half every time they've hit the field this season. They have 1:53 remaining in the first half. Both teams have each of their timeouts remaining. 3 of their timeouts. On first down, Palmer running out of time and throws incomplete. Pass intended for Marcel Reese.
And Reese acted completely surprised that Palmer was going to work his way through his progressions and get it out to him. It seems to me that's the role he was playing on that pattern.
Ravens were looking at Dennis Pitta for possible concussion symptoms, but he's passed that test. Good news for Dennis Pitta and the Ravens. 2nd and 10. That pass behind the intended receiver, Denarius Moore. It'll be 3rd and 10.
And that one looked like it was moderately close to being an interception. This is where the Ravens would like to generate some pass rush. They've had difficulty getting to the quarterback and dropping him. Their sack count is down. Granted, Suggs missed most of the first part of the season, but still they don't have a lot of great natural pass rushers on this defense.
Palmer throwing and wide open at the 35-yard line. Breaking away is Hayward Bay to the end zone. Touchdown, Oakland.
And Ed Reed's bad shoulder just got worse. Ed Reed is limping. He is walking towards the Ravens bench. He's hurt. And that was Ed Reed that bounces off. Take a look. Here comes Ed Reed, number 20. And he just bounces off of Hayward Bay, who runs on in for a touchdown. But I think more importantly than the touchdown is the fact that Ed Reed really looks to be banged up. He does. Look at him on the ground in the background there, lying there on his back.
55-yard pass play. The Raiders again score in the final 2 minutes of the first half. Ed Reed trying to recover. Minute 37 to play. 20-10 Ravens. Back in Baltimore, Ed Reed trying to recover. Perfect example, Dan, of him delivering a hit, and he took the worst of it.
Well, really, and we know he's banged up, but he comes in. He's been playing one-armed anyway. You can see he can't wrap up with that right arm. He makes no attempt to even wrap up with that right arm. And, you know, all he could hope for in a situation like that was that he was going to knock Hayward Bay to the ground. And Hayward Bay at 6'2", 216 just shrugged him right off.
Jacoby Jones, no, he had thoughts of running this one back, but he stepped on the end line out of the end zone. So it'll be a touchback, and they'll come back out to the 20-yard line.
There he is, right, just barely right on the back line. And the judge wasted no time at all starting tooting on that whistle.
Jacoby had a 108-yard kickoff return against Dallas this season. He was looking for 109
and 2/3.
7/8. Coming up on a minute and a half to play here in the first half. Flacco sets up the screen for Rice. Rice out across the 30 to about the 32-yard line.
Again, still have all three of their timeouts.
They continue to look at Ed Reed on the sideline. 12-yard pickup for Rice. Another quick pass, wide open across midfield. Inside the 45 to the 42-yard line is Dennis Pitta for another first down. And a timeout is called by Baltimore to stop the clock. 63 seconds to play in the first half. They're knocking on the door again. Ravens hoping for a touchdown, but at the very least getting Justin Tucker into field goal range. He is the kicker.
Well, the Raiders last time came with a blitz, and Flacco just ate it up. Got rid of the football in under 2 seconds, and a wide open Pitta. They're going to blitz. They better tighten up coverage.
Quick pass far side of the field. That's complete to Jacoby Jones, and Jones inside the 40 to the 36. It's a heck of a dilemma, Dan, because if you stop blitzing Joe Flacco, then he's really going to eat you for lunch.
Well, but if you're going to blitz him, then you can't allow someone to be that wide open just 5 yards downfield. You got to tighten up your coverage.
Flacco will pop to Rice. Rice 25, 20, and out of bounds at about the 18-yard line.
Smart football by Ray Rice. Smart football. Head for that sideline, pick up yardage, stop the clock. You still got 2 timeouts left. The middle of the field is there for you. And that, by the way, was a nice touch pass by Joe Flacco. Rice had a step on the defender, and he dropped it where he could take it in full stride.
Monday, right? Hey! 32! Go back! 20!
the middle. Pitta.
Now take your timeout.
And Baltimore burns its second timeout here in the first half. They have one remaining and 30 seconds on the clock. We'll take a break. As we get back to action, Joe Flacco slicing up this Raider defense like a surgeon.
Pitta was the guy last time down here.
On first and goal. And a little disruption in the play forced Flacco to overthrow Ray Rice. Second and goal.
Well, I think, give Flacco credit, I think he saw Matt Giordano, the safety, coming up, and I think he just got rid of it. He thought that was a dead play to begin with, and he threw it away.
Second and goal. Right up the middle to the end zone. That's just too easy.
You know, there's a call that if Ray Rice gets tackled at the line of scrimmage, everyone in the stadium wants to charge a booth and go after Cam Cameron, the offensive coordinator, and say, how in the world could you call that? But you know what? The Raiders gave him a look. The Raiders gave him a look, dropping everybody back into the secondary. And good job there. Ja Reed, number 76, gets in there and gets a good block. Burke or Yonda, that's just a really, really good call by Cam Cameron.
24 seconds to be played here in the first half, and Baltimore jumps to a 27-10 lead. Ray Rice right up the middle, and Baltimore answers the score with another score. All-time rushing touchdowns in Ravens history, and Ray Rice just pulled even with Willis McGahee.
Well, even though they're not banging out a lot of yards on the ground, you know, Ray has 12 carries for only 32 yards. I think what's significant are the 12 carries. He had 25 last week. That was a season high. He's on his way to a number approaching that this week.
Baltimore has scored on 5 of their 6 drives here in the first half. Francis running it out of the end zone. Out across the 20 to about the 22-yard line or so.
Well, again, it's a good look for running the football. Wheeler gets taken out by Ja Reed downfield. And, yeah, John's going, well, that was easier than I thought. How could they leave the middle so unattended? If they do, take advantage of it. Now, in the second half, I think the Ravens are going to see more production out of the running game. Ray Rice averaging less than 3 yards a carry is not what they're looking for.
On the draw, Marcel Reese loses yardage, and that'll do it for the first half. And the bad news for the Raiders is the Baltimore Ravens will get the kickoff to start the second half. Time runs down here in the first half, and every time the Raiders tried to get something going, Joe Flacco and the Ravens had an answer. 27-10 Baltimore. Back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 47. Welcome back to Baltimore as we get set to start the second half. The Ravens with a 27-10 lead over Oakland. Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf. And the first order of business, certainly for Baltimore fans, would be the condition of Ed Reed, the safety who was knocked out of the game late in the first half.
Yeah, and the good news is the Ravens are telling us that it's really a stinger, that it's not going to keep him from playing in the second half. Of course, the Ravens have a lead, and you'd think they want to play him sparingly, but I think we've all learned over the years Ed Reed, if nothing else, is a tough guy.
Yeah, let's talk about the Baltimore offense spearheaded by Joe Flacco. And, boy, I'm telling you, he's got a couple of tight ends that are really, really good.
Yeah, he's throwing the ball really effectively, but as Greg said, he's getting both Pitta and Ed Dixon involved. Pitted with 5 and a touchdown. Ed Dixon, 59 yards. Awfully good there, 30 yards of reception on his 2. And again, Joe Flacco spreading the ball around. He's been effective getting it to Ray Rice. Torrey Smith, though, the guy that's kind of been absent from the Ravens passing game so far.
And the Ravens will get the football first here to start the second half. And if there is anything extremely urgent for the Oakland Raiders, it's to put the clamps on this Baltimore offense early in the second half. Short kick up front. Anthony Allen with the return to about the 30-yard line. Let's take a look at some first half numbers.
Well, you can see right there that the Oakland Raiders have only run the ball 7 times. And, that's just not, that's 7 for 13 yards. So their running game is utterly non-existent. That puts a tremendous amount of pressure on Carson Palmer. And, of course, what's used to running the ball behind by 17.
Here's Ray Rice for a couple. And, again, if you're just joining us, the number 1 and number 2 running backs for the Oakland Raiders, Darren McFadden, Mike Goodson, not in action, high ankle sprain. And Dennis Allen reduced to a very young Taiwan Jones, moving Marcel Reese over from fullback to the running back position.
And Marcel Reese is getting the majority of the snaps because he's the more trustworthy of the 2 in terms of his blitz responsibilities. I don't think they trust Taiwan Jones to be an effective blocker and a guy who can handle his blitz responsibility.
Flacco for Rice. And Rice brought down short of the 40-yard line. In addition to that, Taiwan Jones, we have penalty marker down. In addition to that, Taiwan Jones has shown a problem with ball security.
Right. So that's a double whammy. But in a situation, and it's, he's got such big play potential. But if you've got to earn your way onto the field by being a complete football player, and Taiwan Jones hasn't yet ascended to that level.
Oh, but what speed he has. 4.28 in the 40.
That's fast. Ron Winter running a conference out there. I don't know if we have multiple fouls.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense number 52. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Boy, those personal fouls continue to mount up for the Oakland Raiders.
Well, Philip Wheeler, yep, he grabs and pulls, and when you see the ball carrier's head come down, that's a pretty good indication you got a pretty good grip on it.
Coming into the game today, surprisingly, it was the Baltimore Ravens with 22 personal fouls, most in the NFL. And committed one here today.
Well, the Raiders with half a dozen.
Flacco going deep, wide open, inside the 5, touchdown, Torrey Smith.
Well, I just said, where's Torrey Smith? He hasn't been a part of the Ravens passing game. Well, scratch that. All right, Michael Huff's got coverage underneath. He's playing zone. He turns him over to Tyvon Branch, who I don't know if Branch wasn't expecting that. You could see the way he gets up looking back at Huff. Tyvon Branch, though, was to the middle of the field and could not react back to the outside third in time to get in on the play. And when Joe Flacco looked up and saw Torrey Smith, he must not have believed his eyes.
And once again, the Ravens make it look easy getting into the end zone.
Well, that was easy. That was easy.
70 yards in 3 plays, a minute 18. Torrey Smith on the receiving end, his 6th TD catch of the season. It's enough to make a head coach smile. Torrey Smith, number 82, on the receiving end of a 47-yard bomb from Joe Flacco. 34-10, Ravens. Boy, Francis will not run this one out of the end zone either. this is going to be a really tough film study for the Raiders.
Well, here's Torrey Smith. Here's Michael Huff. Here's Matt Giordano, the safety. I think that he's going to get turned over, and Michael Huff is looking for deep help, but Giordano, he runs up, and by the time he reacts back, he's out of it. Tyvon Branch has got the other side of the field, and he tries to get back in on it. That's not his play. That is not his play. Tyvon Branch, no wonder he looked surprised when he got up. What am I having to deal with this for? That was confusion between Huff and Giordano.
Marcel Reese with some running room straight ahead, out close to the 30-yard line. And that's very close to another first down, to a first down. It'll be second and very short yardage. Marcel Reese, Jeremy Stewart, Darius Hayward-Bay.
Yeah, on that one ill-fated end around. Good for a -4 yards. And did you really expect much else in trying to replace McFadden and Goodson?
5-3, lost 24. Get hurt. 180. What's up?
On second and 1, Reese again. And Reese has the first down off the right side out to about the 33. And just as last week when Carson Palmer had to throw it a lot when the Raiders were behind, anticipate he'll be doing the same thing again here in the second half.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Now, the good news is Ed Reed is back out there on the field. I'm sure he's going to try to limit having to lay a big hit on somebody.
There's number 20. And Tywan Jones in the backfield
180.
for the Raiders.
What's up?
Play fake to him. Palmer throwing, and out of the backfield making the catch is Marcel Reese down the sideline. The one thing that the Raiders did emphasize, we're moving our starting fullback to running back, but he can run, and he certainly has proven he can catch the football.
Yes, sir. He looks like he's looking down at a foot or something in a lower leg is bothering him. It looked like either McLean or McClellan looked like they got lost in their coverage on Marcel Reese.
Jeremy Stewart into the game in the backfield.
And he was way too wide open.
From the 42, the handoff is to Stewart, and Stewart to about the 40. And Terrence Cody in on the stop.
Keep in mind, Stewart there, number 32, was on the practice squad yesterday. So that's where the Raiders are in trying to make something happen with their running game.
Now just looking, Haloti Nada is not on the field. He's on the sideline for the Ravens, along with that man, Ray Lewis. 2nd and 7.
What's up?
Short drop and back again at the line of scrimmage.
Wow, I think Upshaw might have got that one. That might have been Courtney Upshaw, who's really starting to come on. He's number 1, working to the inside, and you're right, working against Mike Brazel, the right guard. Gets a little bit of a push, but gets up and blocks the ball. And this is a good sign for the Ravens defense as they head into these games with Pittsburgh and San Diego that Upshaw is finally starting to make his move.
On 3rd and 7. Sideline, and that is complete to Darius Hayward-Bay. And that is out of bounds at about the 31-yard line, and that's enough for a first down.
Well, the Pride of Silver Spring working over here on this side of the field. Shockey Brown has got the coverage, but that was a good pattern. Hayward-Bay has come a long way. I remember when he was a rookie, and the only knock against him was he couldn't catch.
Which is fine if you're not a wide receiver.
Other than that, everything was pretty peachy.
Carson Palmer going to go for it all to the end zone. Touchdown, Denarius Moore.
Oh, that's got to be really frustrating for the Ravens secondary to let somebody climb over the top of you that time the way Denarius Moore did. All right, here he is again, taking a look underneath. That's Graham, and I don't know if he's expecting safety help, but you got 3 Ravens all standing there, Williams and Reed all standing in the end zone, staring at the back of Denarius Moore. That won't make Dean Pease very happy.
Dean Pease, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. Denarius Moore came into this game averaging more than 16 yards a catch. This one goes 30 yards for the touchdown. Bit of a subdued Baltimore sideline as the Raiders come back with a touchdown they absolutely had to have here early in the second half.
Well, when you got that big of a lead, everything's supposed to happen in front of you defensively, not over the top.
Jacoby Jones had plans to run that one out too, but it didn't happen. Nobody knows the game like a quarterback. Break down all the NFL action on NFL Monday QB tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Speaking of quarterbacks,
both of them having pretty good days, each one of them with an interception. Remember Carson Palmer's interception? It was Paul Kruger who made a heck of a play to jump up and block a pass and then tip it to himself and end up with the interception.
This is Bernard Pierce. And Pierce will get a couple out of this. We've got a scoring explosion in the last 8 minutes of this game. 31 combined points put on the board.
Well, Carson Palmer doesn't have anything even resembling a running game to aid him. They've got a grand total of 29 rushing yards. On the road in one of the toughest, if not maybe the toughest venue in the National Football League in which to win.
These Ravens working on a 15th straight win at home. Going deep for Torrey Smith again, and he just missed him at the 30-yard line.
Well, Torrey Smith with that great speed. He had a step on Ron Bartell and Tyvon Branch. Again, now it's a situation of trying to find the ball, and you can see he was looking for it over his right shoulder and then had to switch and go back to his left shoulder.
Torrey Smith, a teammate of Laquan Williams at Maryland, and also of Darius Hayward Bay.
Yeah, Flacco had to throw it to the outside because of the inside pressure of Tyvon Branch.
Hey, that's some set of receivers at Maryland, huh?
No kidding.
3rd and 8. Flacco pulls it down, under pressure, and throws incomplete. On his way down, Miles Burris all over him.
Oh, and real smart by Joe Flacco as he's going down to spot Tandon Doss out there in the flat. And at least get it nearby so that he didn't take the intentional grounding. I think at the last second he caught him out of the corner of his eye, and he got it close enough.
First Baltimore punt of the day. Sam Cook to kick it away to Phillip Adams. Adams with a chance to return this one from his 25. Lost the football. Bouncing around. Still on the ground. And covered by Baltimore. Even when the Raiders force the Ravens to punt, things go wrong.
Well, Adams with the muff. He starts the run, then he kicks it, and here start the mistakes of trying to pick the ball up instead of falling on it. Shockey Brown went over the top of it. And then finally, Ian Badejo gets in there on it. One of the great special teams players in the NFL. Brandon Ian Badejo, he's been doing it for a long time.
And that sets up Flacco and the Ravens at the 20. Flacco to throw. To the end zone. Touchdown. Torrey Smith.
Boy, for a moment it looked like Giordano was knocked out. He was just lying there completely motionless. Well, Cam Cameron and Joe Flacco go for the jugular. After the turnover, let's go right for the big play. Again, the Raiders come with pressure and don't get there. And Torrey Smith splits Bartell and Giordano takes a really heavy hit. And right now, Dennis Allen is finding out that everything he had heard about coming to Baltimore is true.
Justin Tucker for the extra point.
Well, Torrey Smith, a quiet first half. 2 receptions here in the second half. A couple of touchdowns.
Not so quiet. Flacco keeps throwing. The Ravens keep scoring. 41-17 Baltimore. 9:20 to play here in the third quarter. Torrey Smith, his second touchdown catch of the day. And, you know, Joe Flacco is having a pretty nice day throwing the football. You can't really say he's been under much duress from that Raider defense.
No, they have blocked for him very well. He hasn't been sacked. Hit a couple times, but by and large, you're right, Greg. He has had a comfy little spot back in the pocket.
Floyd Francis will get to return this one from about 3 yards deep in the end zone. Ooh. A lot of contact at the 15-yard line. He's forward to the 17. Albert McClellan led the charge. Tuesday on CBS. It's a crime so big, the law and the mob will join forces. A can't-miss episode of TV's #1 news show, Vegas, Tuesday, only CBS. Joe doesn't go back to the dugout and phone home every time he throws a touchdown pass, does he? First down, Raiders at the 17.
What's up?
Palmer stepping up, throwing deep down the middle of the field. Almost intercepted by Kerry Williams, intended for Darius Hayward-Bay.
Well, Kerry Williams almost got his 5th interception of the year. Again, he does a good job of playing the ball. He elevates first, and Hayward-Bay, he got his hands on it too, right there. So between the 4 pairs of hands, nobody came up with it, but well defended by Kerry Williams. And again, Ladarius Webb being out of the picture now on IR. Williams, Smith, these guys have a lot more pressure on them.
That's another batted ball at the line of scrimmage. This is unbelievable.
Again, Carson thinks he's got a good angle, but you can see there, Tyson, that's his second batted ball of the day. He's not anywhere close to getting pressure. That's Dean Peace, the defensive coordinator of the Ravens, who's moved upstairs into the press box. This is his second game up there. He used to work from the field. Gets a better look at things, obviously, from up there in the press box.
Palmer with time this time on 3rd and 10, and over the middle, too high for his intended receiver, Denarius Moore. This has been a lot like volleyball today.
Well, you're right. We've had more than our fair share. We've seen a lot of them this season. Terrell Suggs gets the first one of the game. There's Tyson's first one. Then Paul Kruger, he turns that into an interception of Carson Palmer. And then across the middle, another one. This has been some sensational job of batting the ball around by this Ravens defense. 6 of them.
John Harbaugh is going to have a tough time finding something to complain about tomorrow. Jacoby Jones, number 23. Across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. And we have a flag on the play.
Great coaches never struggle to find something to complain about. Trust me, he'll find. How about Denarius Moore getting behind his secondary? There's a good starting point.
During the return, holding, return team number 35. 10-yard penalty First down.
So Anthony Allen guilty of the penalty. That will back the Ravens up. 8:44 to play in the third. Back in Baltimore, 8 minutes 44 seconds to play in the third, and Baltimore with the ball in a 41-17 lead. And still many of the starters in the lineup for the Baltimore Ravens. This is Rice. And Rice has a flag.
Yeah, that's a late hit.
After the late hit on him.
Boy, and that looked like hit him right in the head as he was already down on the ground.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 51.
Let's give a listen.
15-yard penalty, first down.
Ray Rice is already on the ground when Aaron Curry comes flying across and just tattoos him right on the side of the head. This game is tough enough without having to take shots like that, where you are in no position to defend yourself, and 4 personal fouls in a game. Greg had mentioned earlier about the Raiders had put those kind of foolish penalties aside. They have reared their ugly head back again today.
Yeah, not today.
No.
This is Bernard Pierce in for Rice, who is on the sideline and not showing too much the worse for wear. It looks like he's ready to get back in.
He wants to go back in. And he's a football player.
We were talking to Ray about Ray Lewis not being on the field. Ray Rice said of Ray Lewis, I call him a modern-day Superman. So we miss his emotional leadership as much as anything.
Ray Lewis is pretty much the ultimate teammate. There he is, sitting on the bench.
Anthony Allen in the backfield. And Flacco fakes to him, throws on the run, incomplete to the near side of the field, and we get another update from New York. James Brown, Dan Marino, go right ahead.
Cincy spanking the Giants. And off another Eli Manning interception, Andy Dalton 10 yards to Mohamed Sanu. Andy Dalton's 4th touchdown of the day, 31-6, Cincinnati, all over the Giants.
Greg and Dan.
All right, guys, Cincinnati trying to play catch-up in the AFC North. We saw those Bengals last week come up short against the Denver Broncos, but they've got lots and lots of young talent on that team.
Yes, they do. But still, that's a surprise.
On 3rd and 9. Flacco throwing over the middle. Anquan Bolden. And just a flick of the wrist by Joe Flacco in first down.
And let's not disintegrate, boys. Let's not go back in. Again, Joe Flacco, look at him. He looks right, looks left, then comes back and goes to the right. And he threw the ball just in front of Anquan Bolden where he can make the play. Again, Anquan Bolden, as a defensive back, we're looking at Tyvon Branch. You try to reroute the receiver, but Bolden is so difficult to reroute because of tremendous lower body strength that he has.
Straight drop for Flacco over the middle and wide open at the 15-yard line. And the leaping catch by Tandon Doss for a first down. And the Ravens are back in the red zone again.
Well, Tandon Doss, hardly a big fixture in the receiving game of the Ravens, but that's how you make yourself a part of the conversation.
In a hurry, Bernard Pierce to the 12.
You go up and help out your quarterback by snaring a pass like that. Again, talk about, you hear the old saying, going up and getting the football at its highest. Look at that. That is just picture perfect of elevating as a wide receiver.
Flacco slows down, avoids one tackler, throws it away, and they're going to say that was a receiver in the vicinity.
That was Vontae Leach over there. He was close enough to count.
Ron Winter pointed to him immediately.
Yep. Again, that's the second time Flacco's done that recently, where at the last second he has been able to get rid of the football close enough to one of his guys to get away with it.
Now, that might have been Joe's ugliest pass of the year.
Well, you know what, though? It wasn't intentional grounding, and it wasn't intercepted. Got away from Houston, and then he really got banged.
Looked like he was bowling. 3rd and 8. Movement. Contact left side.
Well, now we'll say if Michael Orr gets away with this. But no question the defense jumped first, but it's got to be an instinctive reaction on the part of the offense. Michael Orr delayed a little bit when he...
Neutral zone infraction.
He did it.
Defense number 99. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Smart football by Michael Orr. But I've seen that before where they haven't given the offense the benefit of the doubt, saying, oh, wait a minute, he's got a chance to get back unless his movement forced you out of your stance in the, within that half-second range.
Flacco. Incomplete. Anquan Bolden on that side of the field, defended by Zelio Hansen.
There is a classic in your face. Hansen said something to Anquan Bolden, and Anquan Bolden pointed to the scoreboard. That's all he did. Hansen, he was on Bolden. He thought he ran up behind it. Look at this. And I'm telling you, there is no rejoinder. There's no response. There's the scoreboard, pal. Take a peek at it.
25-yard field goal attempt is faked. And into the end zone goes number 4, Sam Cook, the holder. If that isn't insult to injury, I don't know what is.
Well, the old special teams coach, John Harbaugh, couldn't resist.
Wow. Perfect execution.
Perfect execution is right. Great blocking out front. Gino Gradkowski, number 66. A reserve offensive lineman, doesn't get to play from scrimmage, but he got noticed with that block right there. And Dennis Allen handled that better than I would have handled it.
.540 to play in the 3rd. Baltimore looking at Oakland in their rearview mirror. Only twice previously have the Ravens scored as many as 48 points. They tie the franchise record today with a lot of time remaining to eclipse that.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, Greg, if we play the rest of this game without a fight. That will stir the emotions of the guys in the white jersey.
Francis running this one out of the end zone. And out to about the 20-yard line, and here's a little bit of pushing and shoving at about the 25.
Yeah.
A Wednesday primetime players. JB, Chris Collinsworth, Phil Simms show off America's favorite game on a whole other level. Inside the NFL Wednesday on Showtime.
You play the game. Hey, I don't blame the Ravens for what they did. That's part of football. You got to be able to defend football. But that will, I'm sure, for some of the Raiders, flip their switch. To where they're going, okay, if that's the way you want to play.
Tywan Jones to about the 22. Let's go back to that fake field goal.
Well, it's just really well executed. Sam Cook is the holder, and it's a rare opportunity for Cook to get to do something like that. And how about a little love from the leader?
Hi, I'm Ray Lewis. You're a kicker, aren't you?
Yeah, how long you been here? 7 years, that's the answer to that question.
It will also be interesting is to see just how many of the Ravens regulars continue to play this week. Jones still in the backfield. Carson Palmer fakes and goes deep down the middle of the field. It is incomplete off the hands of number 80, Rod Streeter. Let's get back to New York for another update. JB and Dan Marino.
Phillip Rivers not helping his cause.
Oh, no, this is a bad interception, too. Phillip Rivers rolls to his right, and he just throws it right into the chest of Leonard Johnson. He breaks a tackle. He goes 82 yards down the sideline. This puts Tampa up 31-21.
14 unanswered by the Bucs. Greg Gumbel Dan Dierdorf.
All right, thank you, guys. That Tampa Bay team is going to be something, aren't they?
They're one big play after another, aren't they?
3rd and 7. Palmer over the middle and incomplete, bobbled right across the field by Darius Hayward-Bay. That'll force the punt.
Boy, he was right in his hands. He was wide open. Sometimes when you're losing, it just seems to snowball. Again, though, Hayward-Bay is still a work in progress. I know this is his 4th year in the league, but catching the football does not come all that naturally to him.
Yeah, and 4 years in the league, you begin to wonder when it is going to happen. Jacoby Jones. Talk about a big play waiting to happen. Across the 30 to about the 33. Hey, you can get coverage of every NFL game with NFL Mobile. While on the go, watch live streaming of every touchdown from every game with NFL Network, as well as Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night games and NFL Network's 24/7 coverage. Call ** NFL to download or go to NFL.com/mobile to learn more.
Well, if you'd ever like to work on your running game and try to tweak some of it, this would be a perfect opportunity.
Bernard Pierce is in at running back. Vontae Leach in to block. And this is Pierce trying to turn the corner on the left side and up the sideline. And has enough for a first down. We've had some huge plays today.
Yeah, we have. And Baltimore's been turning. Here's a touchdown to Ed Dixon right down the middle on a seam pattern. Then Jacoby Jones, a perfectly thrown ball by Flacco. And then a wide open Torrey Smith. And then Torrey Smith, his 2nd touchdown of the day. And Joe Flacco has been enjoying good protection. He's also been enjoying the view as he has found a whole bunch of his guys wide open in the Raiders secondary.
Big plays haven't been frequent for the Ravens their last 4 games. They've exploded on offense today.
It's just, can this show play on the road? That's the question that every Ravens fan wants to know.
You know, that's the 2 points that Cam Cameron, the offensive coordinator, made to us yesterday, that we need to play on the road the way we play here at home. And, of course, what we've also seen is we want to play fast.
Yes. Well, they don't want to play fast now. And Joe Flacco's still in the game. And I'm not a big believer in taking your starter out still in the 3rd quarter.
This is Pierce. So while Flacco is still in there, Ray Rice obviously on the sideline.
But, you know, this is still a football game, and you still got to play it. Now, before the end, are we going to see Tyrod Taylor? Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that unless Oakland comes back and scores another touchdown or 2. But 48 points with little less than 3 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. That's a pretty staggering output.
Here comes the blitz. Flacco over the middle. Oh! Incomplete. And Michael Huff had himself an interception right on his fingertips.
Well, in back-to-back series, 2 Raiders had the football right in their hands. Hayward-Bay offensively, and now Michael Huff. That ball was thrown out in front of Torrey Smith, and he just was able to get a hand on it. And Michael Huff, he's pretty sure-handed. He's not one of those guys in the secondary that lacks ball strength.
Here's Phillip Adams, who muffed the punt last time down. He's going to let this one go, and this one floats out of bounds, and this is going to be tough field position once again for the Oakland Raiders, who are really up against it, as any visiting team is coming in to this stadium.
Well, we talked about, you know, the fact that, yes, they win here at home. And there's this year working on now 5-0. Since 2010, working on being 20-1. And since 2008, when Harbaugh got here, they're working on being 32-5. And it's not just that they win here because the crowd is loud, which they are, or they love crab cakes the night before they play. I'm sure they do. But the reality is, statistically, they just play so much better here than they do on the road.
And
it's
also,
across the board.
And they have some really good players. Marcel Reese. And Reese out to close to the 14-yard line. Looking ahead to the Ravens and what they have upcoming, that's not an easy schedule.
Well, first of all, 2 Pittsburgh games in the span of 3 games, sandwiched around a trip all the way to the West Coast. Now that is very difficult. Going to Washington, I know the Redskins are struggling. That's not going to be easy, even though it's very close. And then you take a look at the Denver. You got the Giants, and then finishing at Cincinnati. You and I know, Greg, that's no bargain. The Giants are finding that out today. I'm not sure I want to go to Cincinnati the last game of the season. It's going to be cold, and if I had to win that game to, secure home field or whatever might be at stake by the time they get to that point.
And as we mentioned at the very top of the day, the Pittsburgh Steelers breathing right down their necks in the AFC North, just a game out starting this afternoon's play.
I know some people were concerned about maybe a lack of focus for the Ravens with those 2 Steeler games coming up. Well, at least I think we've had that answered.
Palmer on 3rd and 2. Stepping out of trouble, throwing over the middle, and that's complete to Denarius Moore out across the 30 and enough for a first down. As we come up on 1 minute to play in the 3rd.
And I know the Ravens would love to be able to generate more of a pass rush on a consistent basis. Palmer's been sacked twice today, but again, Suggs is still working his way back. He's not there quite yet, but this is a team without a really true instinctive pass rusher other than Terrell Suggs.
Palmer throwing, and that's Marcel Reese, and he's out of bounds across the 40-yard line.
Well, again, another good illustration. Carson Palmer going to his check down. Finds Reese, and that he had to go down low for that thing, and that was a good catch on his part, and his hands are never in question. We mentioned earlier when he was at the University of Washington, he was a wide receiver. It's a journey not many guys have taken from wide receiver to actually starting at running back here in the NFL.
What's that?
Stopping at fullback on the way. Here's Reese, left side, and that'll be the last play of the 3rd quarter. Courtney Upshaw makes the stop. We've come to the end of 3 here in Baltimore with the Ravens in the 48-17 lead. Back after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Back in Baltimore, along with our producer Mark Wolf, our director Bob Fishman, Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf, and the rest of our CBS Sports crew as we start the 4th. Baltimore very much in charge, 48-17. Jeremy Stewart in the backfield behind Carson Palmer. The Raiders at their own 45-yard line. Palmer stepping up, throwing, wide open inside the 40 is Denarius Moore. Inside the 25, inside the 20, and that's a big gain down to about the 18-yard line.
Well, it starts pretty good. Again, Carson Palmer by and large. Jared Valdir there taking Kruger right around the corner. He's played a great game. And this was a little bit of a wobbler, but Denarius Moore so wide open working against this zone of the Ravens. And Ed Reed is sitting this one out. He's yelling ball when it's in the air, but no one within a couple of yards of Denarius Moore.
What's that?
Palmer looking for the screen. This is Osbury, and Osbury going nowhere. Making the stop is James Ahedibo. And as we start the 4th quarter here, some guys seeing some playing time that might not otherwise, were it not for the huge difference on the scoreboard.
And again, with the Pittsburgh game coming up next week, this is a perfect opportunity for the Ravens to get some rest for some of their frontline guys here. This is heaven sent.
On 2nd and 15, Palmer under pressure, and he's going down at the 30-yard line. Looked like Paul Kruger with the sack.
Yeah. Let's take a look here at the bottom. There's Jared Valdir working against Suggs. He's got him firmly under control. Suggs ends up on top of Palmer, but that's only because Kruger got him from the backside. Jared Valdir there is he's the best lineman the Raiders have. Pretty promising young player, third-year guy, playing a pretty solid left tackle.
Tiny guy, 6'8", 321.
I know. I wonder what it's like to be that big.
On 3rd and 22, pump fake. Palmer going deep, end zone, off the fingertips of Derek Hagan.
Now James Ihedebo, he's in there playing the Ed Reed spot. Again, Hagan had a shot at it. That's a pretty good throw from Carson Palmer. When you put it on the hands of your receiver in the back of the end zone, this is the NFL. That's kind of a ball that you'll see a lot of good receivers make that catch.
This is Sebastian Janikowski from 47 yards out. No problem. 12:47 to play, fourth quarter. Raiders add 3. That's not nearly enough. 48-20, Ravens. Welcome back to Baltimore. 12:47 to play here in the fourth quarter. As Santa only can dress in Baltimore.
Holidays are nearly upon us.
Jacoby Jones will return this one from 5 yards deep in the end zone. And running one right up the side. And he is gone. Looks to be about 105 yards.
Wow. A 108 already against Dallas. Is he even touched? Not even close.
You know what? His lead blocker didn't even have to block anyone.
Not even close.
That was Anthony Allen outside, out in front of Jacoby Jones, and he had to block no one.
He had to run a lot farther for that touchdown than Sam Cook did. 2 special teams touchdowns for the Ravens.
Cook holding for Tucker, and it's good. That's a new record as far as points go for this Ravens franchise. 55 on the board. Number 52 in sweats. As happy as any Raven on the field. Back in Baltimore, Jacoby Jones. You know, you had a day like he's had today, you can smile. Troy Francis will run this one out 5 yards deep in the end zone. Bumps into a teammate and out across the 20 to the 25. Jacoby Jones, it was a little bit of deja vu for him.
Well, here's the one against Dallas, and you can see the Dallas guys get out of their lanes, and that's all there is to that. And again, it's not like he ran over people to do it. Good blocking initially by his guys up front, and then a complete disintegration of the Raiders coverage package. You've at least got to make the kickoff return guy break at least 1 or 2 tackles on a big return. But to not even, to just wave at him as he goes by, that's embarrassing.
Taiwan Jones to about the 28.
You know, the Raiders, unfortunately for them, 2 weeks in a row now are making all of the highlight shows for the wrong reasons. One last week giving up 251 yards rushing to Doug Martin, 231 of them in the second half, and then now this debacle today with 2 special teams touchdowns scored against them.
And that last one tended to bring much of the crowd to its feet and heading for the edges. This is Marcel Reese, and Reese gets it across the 35, and that'll be enough, or very close to a first down, maybe about a half yard shy. Let's see where they spot the ball.
Well, Greg, I pretty much can guarantee you that a large portion of this crowd is going, wow, if we can just take some of this with us on the road to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, don't spend it all here in one day.
Can we look like this at Heinz Field?
Palmer. Oh, what a diving catch close to midfield made by Brandon Myers. And that's a first down for the Raiders.
Bernard Pollard talking to Jameel McLean, trying to tighten up that coverage. There's a lot of coordination between an inside linebacker and the safety behind him.
Danville safety, Alabama. Danville safety. Alabama. Danville safety.
So
Alabama.
now Palmer at his own 49.
Set up. Wide 80. Attack.
This is Reese. On Reese will get about a yard. And Dan, a coach, looks at his team carefully in situations like this, talking about Dennis Allen, to see how they react under these circumstances.
Well, it's been a tough couple of weeks. You know, keep in mind that this is a team that's dealing with some tragedy. The son of their defensive line coach, Terrell Williams, he died on Friday. The team knew he was sick, knew he was in the hospital. They didn't find out about it until they landed here Friday night.
4-year-old son Tyson.
Yeah, that's something that all of a sudden as a football player you look at that and you realize that there are a lot more important things in this world than playing a game. So obviously that didn't help this team. But still, Dennis Allen has his work cut out for him on what do the Raiders have to do in the remaining games this season to salvage this year and lay a couple foundation building blocks upon which to grow. It'll be important to see how they do that.
Over the middle, that's complete inside the 30-yard line. And, I asked Dennis Allen, how is it that you're trying to go about changing things around? And he's got a very definite plan in mind. We want to be tough, we want to be smart, we want to be disciplined. Now, they've been anything but disciplined as far as the penalties go today.
And that's not indicative of how they've played the entire season. No, but I think Reggie McKenzie as the general manager and Dennis as the head coach, they've got a plan.
Carson Palmer threads the needle on that one to tight end Brandon Myers. And that's a first down inside the 20.
And Bernard Pollard will he hit. Man, this is a good save. Listen. That is a good, legal, hard hit. Didn't hit him in the head, shoulder pad to shoulder pad. But that's how you deliver a stick.
This is Reese. Not much to go on there.
Bernard Pollard, 3 years in Kansas City, a couple in Houston, and now finishing, working on his second year here in Baltimore. What a perfect fit he's been for this football team. With his attitude, it's just like he's been playing defense for the Ravens this entire career. Don't see that every day, a two-man rush.
Palmer running out of time and finally has to throw it away.
Don't see that every day, just a two-man rush and 9 guys dropping back in coverage.
Is there any reason a two-man rush should ever get to the quarterback?
No, but it's hard to find somebody open when you got 9 guys back in coverage.
That's true, but still Palmer had to get rid of it.
Well, eventually he did, you're right. And he ends up getting knocked to the ground. Got to give Tyson credit for getting in there. Wasn't quick, but ultimately he got there.
3rd and 8.
The 2 against 5, you're right, Greg, they should never get.
Palmer throws this one close to the 10-yard line. Ingrid Bay makes the catch, and forward progress will be marked at the 10-yard line. And there's no reason to kick a field goal here. It'll be 4th and 3.
No, I don't think so. Maybe they could run a fake field goal. I've heard they work.
Number 53, Reebok.
Lost the football.
Oh, the Raiders. Are you kidding me? Remember they went on a 4th down earlier in the game and Carson Palmer fell down because he got stepped on by Brizell, his right guard, and now they have a fumble on a 4th down play.
You know what? It's going to be a long plane ride back to Oakland. With 7.5 minutes to play, Tyrod Taylor, the second-year quarterback out of Virginia Tech, has replaced Joe Flacco in the Baltimore lineup. And this is Bernard Pierce trying the left side. Joe Flacco on the day pretty much had his way with the Oakland Raider defense. 341 yards, 3 touchdowns.
And as they love to do on this offense, they got the ball downfield on big plays, over-the-top plays. Torrey Smith didn't have anything going on at all in the first half, and then came right out with a couple quick touchdowns in the third quarter. And it was, by and large, a really good day for the Baltimore offense.
This is Pierce again. Pierce going to be run out of bounds at about the 11. So the Raiders have given up 55 points today. Last time that happened way back in 1981, courtesy of our friend Dan Fouts in the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah, and that time he finds Kellen Winslow. I heard he was pretty good. That's Chuck Muncie, a little halfback pass again to Kellen Winslow. And, coming in from the right, I think I see number 75. There's Howie Long, a very young Howie Long. That might have been his rookie year as he got in there to express his displeasure.
Oakland has allowed 97 points in its last 2 games. That's not going to get anything done.
Whistle blows before the snap.
Timeout. Baltimore. They're first.
I think they
This
weren't
will be a
going
30-second timeout.
They weren't going to get the snap off in time before a delay penalty.
So Baltimore uses a timeout that they won't really be needing down the stretch anyway. Hey, next Sunday, the NFL on CBS doubles up. First, Dan and I will be down in Dallas as the Cowboys take on the Cleveland Browns. The Jets go up against the Rams. Phillip Rivers leads the Chargers against Peyton Manning and the Broncos. Or Andrew Luck and the Colts challenge Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Check your local listings, beginning with JB, Dan, Shannon, Coach, and Boomer Esiason on the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines.
Tom Brady and Andrew Luck on the field. Talk about the future, taking a look at the present.
On 3rd and 11, Taylor sets up the screen and right through the hands of Anthony Allen.
Oh, he had something going too. It's a perfect setup. The Raiders came with the blitz, and you've got a screen. That is a big play waiting to happen. Well, even the Ravens go to the concession stand.
Phillip Adams awaits the punt from Sam Cook. And this will chase him back all the way inside his 30-yard line. Gives ground to the 25. Penalty marker flag. This will be another penalty coming up against the Oakland Raiders.
And block in the back.
After a while, you'd think you've run out of feet to shoot. You can only shoot yourself in the foot so many times.
Yeah, you could see that from a long way away. I think Keenan Clayton, the backup linebacker.
This is the 9th penalty of the day against the Raiders. Illegal block in the back. Number 57 return team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
5:59 to play. 5 minutes and 59 seconds. It can't go by fast enough for the Raiders.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by E-Trade. Works beautifully. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Back here in Baltimore, Carson Palmer's day is done, and there is 7th-year quarterback Matt Leinart, who has come on to quarterback the Raiders for the remainder of this game, which is 5:59 to go. This is Jeremy Stewart, right side. Boy, there's been a lot of points scored around the National Football League today. The most here. Meanwhile, the numbers for Carson Palmer on the day, 29 of 45, 368. Follows up on his 414 yards in the loss to Tampa Bay last week.
By and large, a pretty effective day by Palmer, considering everyone knew going in that what he was going to be able to do throwing the ball was the only chance the Raiders had with both their running backs back in California, both of their starting running backs.
180! What's up?
This is Stewart again. And Stewart, hit hard as he crossed the 20-yard line. A reminder, coming up, the Subway post-game show. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Cowher have all the latest NFL scores and highlights. As I said, a lot of big scoring around the NFL today. This is the most points that's been scored, but there are a lot of big numbers on the board around the league today. That's all coming up on the Subway post-game show.
Yeah, Denver's putting it to Carolina. There's Tennessee routing somebody. Boy, you didn't see that coming.
Cincinnati's got 31 on the New York Giants. Matt Leinart has not thrown a pass since last season as a member of the Houston Texans. And we get a marker.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
And maybe that rust is showing a little bit.
Well, this is all a prelude to the big game next week between the Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Ravens maintain their lead in the division. But it's all going to come down to those two games in the next 3 weeks.
Leinart over the middle for Hayward Bay is incomplete. Well defended by Corey Graham. So on 4th and 9, we have just under 4.5 minutes to play.
I think the big question for the Ravens as they go into the second half of the season is, can they get their defense to tighten up? Can Ed Reed get a little bit healthy? Can Haloti Ngata get a little healthy?
This is Tandem Doss at his own 34. And we get a penalty marker. Doss shaking tacklers, breaking free down the far side. Leckler pushing him out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. Now let's check the flag.
Well, where those flags are thrown, they're not on the kicking team very often.
During the kick, holding, number 22 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Jimmy Smith, guilty. And there's Sam Cook. What an eventful day he's had.
Well, you know, it's not his first time with a little trickeration. A couple of years ago against the Dolphins, throws a nice little pass out there to Kerry Williams. Then last year, he gets a 2-point conversion. And then how about this? This was today. He's going for the whole enchilada. He gets a touchdown here. And that gets a hug from the captain, Ray Lewis.
I think we're talking player of the week honors. You know, the next practice session, he'll be lobbying for more offensive playing time.
Yeah, the only thing I can tell you, when a kicker lobbies, nobody hears it.
Bernard Pierce straight ahead.
The only guy that will hear him will be the place kicker.
And we duck under 4 minutes to play.
And when the place kicker has a comment, the only guy that hears him is the punter. Because they're over there on that field all by themselves.
All by themselves. Which is a bunch of, oh, you did good today. You did too.
Oh, yeah.
You did too. You did too.
No, I like you more.
2nd and 6. This was Vontae Leach. You know, one of the things we talked about John Harbaugh, and Harbs agreed, any coach looks for consistency, and his team has not been consistent enough to suit him.
Well, no, and especially on the road. And, you know, what happened down in Houston, you know, take a look what's happening to the Giants today in Cincinnati. That can just happen. And I think every team throws off at least one clunker a year on the road especially. And so, you know what? You kind of just jettison that. Now, you may see Houston down the line in the playoffs, in which case you'll get a chance to maybe atone a little bit for that.
Play clock down to 1. Tyrod Taylor gets the snap off. This is Pierce, and Pierce nowhere to go on the far side of the field as we approach 2.5 minutes to play.
But by and large, Greg, the Ravens' road performance has to improve. I mean, like Joe Flacco's completion percentage is 15 percentage points better at home than it is on the road. So the reality is they've got to tighten some things up in the way they perform on the road, because you're just not going to get to play every game right here, as they're going to find out next week in Pittsburgh.
And we are going to wind our way down to the 2-minute warning here. And we'll take our break. 2 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. Boy, you want to put a smile on a coach's face. Plays like that. And a smile. And that. And a fist pump. And it went like that today for the Ravens. On and on and on. We're approaching sunset here in Baltimore. 2 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. Phillip Adams is deep for the kick from the new hero in town, Sam Cook. Adams from the 20. Down at the 17 or 18. Let's check out the AFC North once again. Laquan Williams making that special teams play. Baltimore winning here. Cincinnati winning. And Pittsburgh plays tomorrow night.
Yeah, they play Kansas City tomorrow night. Kansas City in the midst of a real struggle. So they've got to be a long shot to upset the Steelers. Not that everyone in Baltimore won't be rooting like crazy for the Chiefs.
Meanwhile, this Ravens team, 55 points on the board, the most in this NFL season so far. And shooting for a 15th straight regular season home victory. Jeremy Stewart to about the 23 or 24 yard line.
The old double nickel. And the Raiders, you talked about it earlier, Greg, going to have a long flight back to the West Coast.
I just want a simple yes or no, Dan. Did you ever use a CB radio and say double nickel on it? Ever? Just a yes or no. You did, didn't you? Oh, I'm so embarrassed.
It was the 70s.
Liner for Jeremy Stewart.
I did a lot of things in the 70s I'm embarrassed about.
Yeah, well, welcome to the club.
That was a terrible. I thought about lying, though. And I probably should have. I
was hoping that you'd just cut it off right at the CB thing. Oh, no, of course not.
Everybody had a CB radio back then. It was cool.
Au contraire.
It was cool. Besides, it was always a good opportunity to work on your microphone skills.
That's where it all began. Jeremy Stewart. And Stewart hit from behind by Albert McClellan, number 50. And we are down to 25 seconds to play, and that looks like that'll be it.
We just got to make sure we don't see Smokey between here and the airport.
They'll shake hands at midfield. Meanwhile, the Oakland Raiders fall to 3-6 in a game that they would like to forget as quickly as possible, while the Baltimore Ravens improve to 7-2 on the season with a most impressive victory here today.
That's the end of the game.
Our final score, Baltimore 55, Oakland 20, coming up next, the Subway postgame show.